together here? Can we get someone else on this side? Let's even it out.
Scoot here, scooting over.
Okay,
Scooting
yeah.
over.
Get close. Okay. We're still. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here at the Emergency Operations Center for an update on Hurricane Milton. I'd like to thank our Board of County Commissioners. We're joined here by Commissioner Regalado, Commissioner Cabrera, and Commissioner Bermudez. You'll be hearing from Commissioner Bermudez shortly, who chairs our Public Safety Committee, and also we're in his district. We're also going to hear from our State Attorney, Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, and our Chief of Public Safety, James Reyes. We'll have a Creole interpretation after all of those, and we will have many of our directors who are here who can respond directly to your questions. We're working very closely with elected leaders throughout the county. We're having regular briefings with our cities, with our schools, universities, other major institutions, and we're doing a great job of coordinating and sending out a coordinated message. Very, very proud of the work that we're doing together, preparing for the potential impacts of this storm. Hurricane Milton is now a Category 4 hurricane. It's heading towards landfall on the west coast of Florida. The storm is expected to bring life-threatening storm surge for the Tampa Bay area and west coast, even now as they are recovering still from last week's Hurricane Helene. Our community continues to pray for all of those who were devastated by Helene and for the ongoing safety of all of those in Milton's path. And while this storm has slowed down just a bit, it is expected to grow in size. It's a major storm, and it is very important that we remain prepared as our community will be affected by the outer bands of the storm. We are now under a tropical storm warning. The most likely impacts here in Miami-Dade include heavy rainfall, localized flooding, sustained tropical force winds of at least 49 miles per hour starting as early as tonight. The Emergency Operations Center is activated at a level 2 to ensure that our community is ready to respond. County services, including water and sewer, our transit services, Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Mover, currently remain open. All non-essential county government offices will be closed tomorrow, Wednesday. As we continue to closely monitor impacts over the coming days, we will keep the community updated on any other service changes. As we shared with you yesterday, we have announced voluntary evacuation of mobile home parks. The E. Darwin Fuchs Pavilion, which is located at 10901 Coral Way, is a pet-friendly evacuation center for mobile home residents who wish to relocate, strictly mobile home residents only. And we are providing transportation to assist mobile home residents who are voluntarily evacuating. It is very important that anyone affected call 311 or submit an online form requesting assistance that can be found at miamidade.gov/Milton to request transportation assistance. And 311 is open for extended hours until 10 p.m. this evening. All of our county departments have been aggressively preparing and responding to flooding over the last few days. And yesterday, our Parks Department began distribution of sandbags at 9 regional parks countywide. We've already successfully distributed over 70,000 sandbags to residents in need, and the majority of these sites have already closed or are going to close shortly, based on the enormous demand. And I also want to give extra special thanks to the many residents and families who've volunteered to foster our most vulnerable pets, cats and dogs. Our teams have been overwhelmed by the number of residents who've stepped up to take in our pets this week, and we remain extremely grateful for their service. Our airport, MIA, is currently open and operating, although some airlines have or will cancel flights. So we continue to encourage all travelers flying to those to any airlines to confirm your flight status before heading to the airport. Very important to check status. Port Miami is currently under Port Readiness Condition Yankee. Under Yankee, our port will not be receiving any inbound vessels, and our crews are busy emptying our yards this morning. The tunnel is closed into our port, but remains open for outbound vehicles as we clear the port. The U.S. Coast Guard also announced that they will begin locking down all drawbridges for boat traffic starting at noon today. So it's already started. And remember, it is critical that our community takes key steps to prepare. Gather your hurricane supplies now. Please make sure you have 3 days of supplies, non-perishable food and water, that they would be on hand for every member of your household. Remember, you can fill your own containers with Miami-Dade tap water. No need to buy bottled water. Put up your hurricane shutters. Fill your gasoline, your car's gas tank with the gasoline. And if you are filling extra containers with gasoline, make sure you store it in an appropriate container and in a safe area of the home. Do not trim your trees or shrubs at this time. The county's 13 trash and recycling centers have extended their operating hours and will remain open until 7 p.m. today. And make sure that your home, yard, and construction debris is properly secured. Any objects that hurricane winds could blow about should have been tied down or brought indoors. That includes your garbage cans, recycling cans, patio furniture, garden tools and toys, etc. It's also important to keep in mind that flood and water safety measures are key. Please help to minimize overflow to our wastewater system. Keep the manhole covers closed. Do not pry them open to let water go into them. This will be very important to protecting our sewage system as well. And you can also minimize your water usage in the morning and evening during heavy rain. That will help us as well. If you need to report severe flooding within unincorporated Miami-Dade or the city of Miami, you may call 311 or use the 311 Direct app you can download to your phones. Please only call 911 if you have a medical or life-threatening emergency. We have county crews on standby to support us by draining flooded areas as needed, and we urge our residents and our visitors to practice flood safety. Turn around, don't drown. Avoid walking or driving into flooded areas. You can head to miamidade.gov/hurricane or download the Ready MDC app for more flood safety information and updates. And we also have a special page just for this storm, miamidade.gov/Milton. Continue monitoring your local media and verified social media platforms because we are going to share important updates all week long. And I want to say a special thank you to our Department of Emergency Management and our Director, Pete Gomez, all the county staff, and our partners for working so hard to prepare our residents. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay prepared, and God bless. En español. El huracán Milton ha disminuido en intensidad y es ahora una tormenta de categoría 4 a medida que sigue acercándose a la costa oeste y se espera que toque tierra en el jueves en la mañana. Aunque ha perdido un poco de intensidad, es importante que estemos preparados. Los impactos probables en Miami-Dade incluyen lluvia, inundaciones y posiblemente vientos de fuerza de tormenta tropical empezando esta noche. Mientras seguimos monitoreando la tormenta de cerca, el Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia sigue el nivel 2 de activación. Hasta ahora, ningún servicio del condado se ha visto afectado y todas nuestras oficinas permanezcan abiertas hoy, incluyendo los servicios de agua, el aeropuerto y transporte, buses, Metrorail y Metromover y nuestro aeropuerto. Pero todos los servicios del condado no esenciales estarán cerrados mañana, miércoles, octubre 9. Seguiremos monitoreando hoy y tomaremos decisiones para mañana cuando haya más información disponible. Ayer anunciamos una evacuación voluntaria de parques de casas móviles. Para más información, por favor, visitan miamidade.gov/Milton. Invito a la comunidad que estén preparados desde hoy. Para tips de seguridad y más otra información, visitan miamidade.gov diagonal hurricane, llamen al 311 o reporten a través de la aplicación 311. Descarguen la aplicación Ready MDC en iPhone y Android. Muchas gracias y ahora vamos a escuchar con el comisionado Bermudez. And now we'll hear from Commissioner Bermudez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mayor. Well, first of all, there's a couple of things that I want to reiterate and thank the Mayor for her leadership and my colleagues for their leadership in this time. I know everybody's been working very hard, but I begin by thanking, obviously, our first responders and emergency management for the great job they've done keeping our community informed. I think the Mayor gave you a great rundown. There are three things I'd like to remind everyone. Number one, communication is important. The Mayor told you every which way that you can get information from us besides from the media. Please be tuned in to what is important tomorrow in particular, because there's no reason anyone should be out on the streets tomorrow in particular. We really should stay home if you can, unless you are a first responder. Really, there is no reason for you to be out tomorrow. Second of all, as the Mayor indicated, we need to be very careful with flooding. Flooding brings down power lines. If there are winds, there will be wind tomorrow. Even going around today, we saw a couple of situations that we don't need people outside walking and walking through the community when you have water and down power lines. Again, stay home and stay inside. And then the third thing I would say, for those of you who need prescription medication or live with elderly individuals that may need, or anyone of any age that may need prescription medication, make sure you get your medications now. Don't go out and try to get them tomorrow, because you may not be able to get them. So if you need them, make sure you go out and take care of that today. Obviously, be informed. And that's the most important thing of all. Simplemente unas cuantas cosas que quiero añadir a lo que ocurrió la alcaldesa. En primer lugar, darle las gracias a nuestros first responders, la policía, el departamento de bomberos y de emergencia por el gran trabajo que hacen. Mañana no hay ninguna razón para estar en la calle si uno no está trabajando, que la mayoría no deben estar trabajando mañana, deben quedarse en su casa, adentro de su casa, no afuera necesariamente. Hay tres cosas que quiero mencionar. Primero, y lo más importante, por favor, la alcaldesa mencionó cómo ustedes pueden recibir información de nosotros. La comunicación es importante y deben de saber todos los números de importancia, no solamente del condado, pero donde ustedes pueden recibir información. Y hay muchas maneras de recibir información, no solamente vía la televisión, con los colegas que tenemos aquí. Pero hay tres cosas que yo creo que también son importantes. Número uno, hay mucha lluvia, hay mucha inundación. Y mañana va a haber mucho viento. Si hay las líneas de FPL electrónicas que en algunas ocasiones son impactadas, no hay necesidad de estar afuera. Agua y electricidad no es una combinación buena, así que no hay razón de estar afuera mañana. Deben quedarse en su casa. Y finalmente, les diría lo siguiente: si ustedes tienen a alguien que necesita medicina, o si ustedes necesitan medicina, no importa de cuál edad, consigan la medicina hoy, porque si por alguna razón no están abiertas las farmacias por las próximas 24, 48 horas y la persona necesita esa medicina, es un momento muy complicado, así que hoy tienen el tiempo de prepararse. Y como mencionó la alcaldesa, tenemos que estar preparados. Somos una gran comunidad. Le agradezco a mis colegas que han estado trabajando muy duro en cada uno en su distrito para mantener nuestra comunidad segura, y les pido a ustedes, por favor, si pueden, quédense en casa mañana y estén atentos a lo que puede ocurrir, y la seguridad es lo más importante para nuestra comunidad. Gracias, que Dios los bendiga.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from our state attorney, Catherine Fernandez-Rendell. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, so much. Mayor Levine Cava, we thank you for your leadership and all of your departments for engaging us as a community, and you always do it with such great calm and you're very masterful, and we're grateful to you for that. Thank you for inviting me here to talk to our community about price gouging, and I also want to thank the County Commission for all that you're doing in your independent districts and keeping our community safe, and I want to thank our Director of Public Safety, James Reyes, for what you're doing as well. So let me just say that once the governor declares a state of emergency, Florida Statute 501 is triggered. And essentially that is a statute that talks about potential price gouging. Hopefully we're not going to see that. And hopefully, we've learned from our history. But while most people are really good, there are always a few that become very greedy. So what our Florida law says is that it is unlawful to sell, lease, offer to sell, or offer for lease essential commodities, dwelling units, or self-storage facilities for an amount that is grossly exceeding the average price for the 30 days prior to that. Sometimes that's really hard to define. There are other laws throughout the country that are much more defined, but that's the definition that we have. Now, it also says that we look at market trends to determine if it is in fact a grossly disparate price. So some of the things we know are very common commodities are supplies, equipment, resources, which includes without limitation food, water, ice, chemicals, gasoline, and lumber. One thing to look out for if you're concerned about whether or not you're being gouged is ask for a business tax receipt, because anyone who's selling a commodity needs to have one of those. If you suspect that there is price gouging, there's a very easy way to capture that information. Take a picture of the receipt, take a picture of the price, take a picture of whatever sign is indicating the price, and of course your invoices and bills. We have set up a hotline that has been up since the governor issued a state of emergency. We've received a lot of phone calls already, so that that's 24/7. We have a team of investigators that respond out to the scene. In other words, wherever you think that price gouging may have occurred. Obviously, if you see trucks selling generators out the back part of their truck on the street corner, which we've seen as a community before, that clearly is a phone call you want to make fairly rapidly so we can send our investigators out. We also have a website. I'm going to give you the hotline number, and then I'm going to give you the website. So our hotline number is 305-547-3300, or you can go to the hotline at miamisao.com, and you can leave an email there. You can leave an address, your question, your complaints, and then we will follow up with that. And let me just say for the English, before I go to Spanish very briefly, that gratitude is what I think we all feel here in this community, that maybe we're going to be spared this potentially dangerous storm, and that all of our friends, our colleagues, our families that live on the West Coast, our prayers and our thoughts go out to them. So now in Spanish, cuando el gobernador declara un estado de emergencia, se activa la ley sobre el abuso de precios. Y en ese momento mi oficina activó la línea para reportar abuso de precios, que es 305-547-3300. La ley de la Florida no tiene un porcentaje específico de aumento de precio que define el gouging o el abuso de precios, como lo hacen en algunos otros estados en los Estados Unidos. Tenemos que ver una disparidad bruta en el precio actual comparado con el precio promedio durante los 30 días anteriores de la emergencia. La ley de abuso de precio cubre productos y mercancía que se considera esencial. La ley incluye comida, agua, gasolina, hielo, estancia como hotels y si sospecha algo que es un abuso de precios, puede llamar a nuestra hotline o línea caliente a 305-547-3300 y mis investigadores atenderán su queja. I want to answer a question back in English that the mayor asked this morning, and I think it's a really good point. It may be that people from other parts of the state will be attempting to escape potential disaster and injury to them or their loved ones, and they may come here. So for all of our friends in the hotel or dwelling business and industry, be mindful that you don't want to be using abusive prices. Obviously, sometimes demand inflates prices, but price gouging is something that we need to be very mindful of. And price gouging is a second-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to 60 days in jail. Thank you. Thank you,
so
ma'am.
much. Thank you. Great. So now we'll hear from our Chief of Public Safety, James Reyes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As you've heard, Miami-Dade is now under a tropical storm warning. This means we can expect sustained winds of 39 miles per hour or more in our area. Two important points to remember as residents make final preparations in our area. One, for non-emergency calls, please use 311 as we want to keep our emergency calls to 911 open. Therefore, to report flooding, please use 311. If possible, please stay off the roads tomorrow as the National Hurricane Center advises a tropical storm warning for our area, and we can anticipate high winds and the potential for flooding. Please be patient, report any emergency, and please be cautious as our dedicated teams respond to our urgent needs. Also, keep in mind that fire rescue units stop operations during sustained winds of 50 miles per hour or more, or when severe conditions make operations unsafe. As a result, our first responders may not be able to respond during the peak of the storm. We continue to keep our neighbors to the north in our prayers, and we stand ready to provide support and assistance after the impact. Buenas tardes. Miami-Dade ahora está bajo una advertencia de tormenta tropical. Esto significa que podemos esperar vientos sostenidos de 39 millas por hora o más en nuestra área. Si deciden evacuar, por favor hagan el esfuerzo de hacerlo hoy antes que se empeoren las condiciones locales. Dos puntos importantes para recordar. Mientras los residentes realizan los preparativos finales en nuestra área, número 1. Para llamadas que no sean de emergencia, usen el 311, ya que queremos mantener abiertas nuestras líneas de emergencia. Traten de evitar manejar en las carreteras mañana, ya que el Centro Nacional de Huracán emitió una advertencia de tormenta tropical para nuestras áreas y es posible tener fuertes vientos y la posibilidad de inundaciones en nuestro condado. Tengan paciencia, reporten cualquier emergencia y tengan cuidado mientras nuestros equipos responden a las necesidades urgentes de nuestra comunidad. Además, tengan en cuenta que los bomberos detienen sus operaciones durante vientos sostenidos de 50 millas por hora o cuando las condiciones de tormentas severas hacen que las operaciones sean inseguras. Continuamos orando por nuestros vecinos del norte del estado y reiteramos que estamos dispuestos y preparados para brindar ayuda y apoyo después del paso de la tormenta. Muchas gracias.
And now we'll have our Creole translation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bonjour tout le monde. Cyclone Milton a baissé dans la catégorie Kounia, il est passé dans la catégorie 4. Jeudi matin, il est censé capable arriver dans la zone, la fête, et le cyclone a arrivé dans la région Miami-Dade, et le ça a porté en pile la pluie, en pile de l'eau. Nous demandons tout le monde pour faire attention parce que circonstance ça est capable de causer en pile inondation. Et pendant qu'on a continué à aider les communautés, le service EOC a été ouvert et il est en phase 2, il était dans niveau 2, pendant que nous-mêmes, nous connaissons que le service non essentiel a fermé dans la journée mercredi. Quand Miami-Dade a bien l'autre service qui a prêté, qui a continué à quand le service de l'eau, quand le service de transport, et a prêté ouvert. Les gens qui doivent déplacer, qui vivent dans la maison mobile, gagnent côté pour y aller volontairement pour être capable de déménager pendant la période cyclone nan, et yo capable d'offrir au transport tout pour l'heure pour aller là-dedans. Yo capable les 311 et 311 a un service qui étend jusqu'à 10 heures à souhait. Pas oublier ou même tout qui gagne bon la caillou égout qui ouvert, s'il vous plaît, pas déboucher égout yo, ou bien si ouvert, pas aller là-dedans yo, parce que ça représente gros danger. Ou même la caillou tout, fais attention pour gagner au moins manger pour 3 jours, manger qui pas périssable. À ce moment-là, vous êtes capable de survivre pendant la période ça. Songez, si vous gagnez en nécessité pour capable de prendre information, allez dans miamidade.gov/hurricane ou bien vous capable d'utiliser l'application mobile Ready MDC. Merci en pile.
Merci beaucoup. All right, questions.
¿Nos podría decir en español respecto a los puentes que van a estar cerrados?
Los puentes.
Los puentes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking for who. Desde mediodía hoy están cerrados los puentes para los barcos subiendo los ríos y hasta que termina la emergencia.
Alcaldesa, también nos podría hablar un poquito más de este centro que abrieron para los residentes de casas móviles que voluntariamente pueden pasar, no sé si solamente la noche o cuánto tiempo pueden permanecer allí, no sé si las mascotas son bienvenidas, ¿nos puedes dar más detalles de esto?
Sí, eso se llama Fuchs Pavilion y allí hay espacio para los que están saliendo de los parques de vivienda móviles con sus mascotas y comenzando hoy a las 10 de la Okay, come here. 10 de la mañana hoy comenzó y hasta que termina la emergencia.
Sí, esto abrieron esta mañana a las 10 de la mañana el Fuchs Pavilion en Tammany Park y como dice la alcaldesa también tienen poder las mascotas también.
¿Y hasta cuándo?
Y va a seguir abierto hasta que se termine el incidente este.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Reyes, I believe, mentioned 50 miles an hour. That's the threshold with respect to first responders going out. That's a countywide policy for the most part. Is that about right? 50 miles an hour, and
That's specifically to Miami-Dade Fire Rescue.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ms. Fernandez-Rundle, we're already seeing, with respect to price gouging, we're already seeing flights from Puerto Rico to here. Mm-hmm. No, other way. Here to Puerto Rico, $3,000 one way. Mm-hmm. Well, $6,000 one way? Well, it's gone up already. I saw this morning it was $3,000 one way, now $6,000 one way. And so just to give you an idea as to, what, is that surge pricing or is that price gouging or what do you make
Well,
of
it's an
that?
excellent question. And clearly what the investigators will do is take a look at that and try to do some comparisons. But your point is well taken. And, as the next couple of days pass, we're going to start to see a lot more complaints about prices. So we are going to be very vigilant in pursuing those and looking at them. Obviously, I can't give you a direct answer on that particular instance. We have had calls already from as far as Tampa to our hotline. So we're going to be pretty busy.
And when you say calls with respect to what are the
The
nature of those
hotline,
calls?
from everything about where do we go, what hotels to stay in, the gasoline is going up, is that right? And, it's desperate people start to do desperate things. So we just want everybody to be mindful, to be careful, and to be smart.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and we'll keep you informed. We'll have another update later today.